Well, I'm here to do that live stream that I said I would do. And if you're wondering why I'm dressed in black today, it's kind of for two reasons. The first one is because, well, this video is dedicated to the legendary actress Angela Lansbury. May she rest in peace. And the other reason is because, well, it's been a pretty rough week, folks. I, to make a long story short, I had a horrible nosebleed and it's still not quite healed yet. So I had to rely on this old mask for a little while because I still got some packing up my nose. And I don't know how long I'm going to keep this up before I end up just dropping the mask and the image altogether. But until then, this is going to have to do. Anyway, before we get started, let us have a moment of silence for her. Okay. Well, as we all know, Angela Lansbury was probably one of the greatest actresses, at least of all time. She did a lot of movies, quite a few TV shows, and she was even a Broadway star, which was something that unfortunately I have not been able to see yet because, well, sadly, they don't really show this kind of stuff, at least not from back then, because most of them is copyright and all that junk. So you know how it is, folks. Most of the time, they won't show you because, well, copyright infringement, copyright infringement. You know the drill. And at the moment, YouTube, although they still show stuff, well, they're still sorry about that, folks. They're still a little hesitant to show things like this. So at the moment, I have yet to see it, but I plan to one of these days if it ever comes out. But anyway, she's all. Anyway, we remember her best for her work in recent years because for many of us, for many of us, although her career spanned over 4 decades, most of us probably remember her for the work that she did in the 90s and the early 2000s, such as Murder, She Wrote, which, without a doubt, is probably one of her greatest work. At least I always thought so. So, hey, bro. It's good to see you. Yeah. Yeah, I heard about that too. I never liked Harry Potter, but I heard about that too. And even worse, bro, we lost one of the actors who played Jason Voorhees. So, yeah. But anyway, and thanks to my bro for showing up because it's always good to Anywho, let's just get on with it. For me, I know her best from Murder She Wrote. That was one of her best work. She was a great character. It was a great show. It had a lot of great stuff, great mysteries, twists and turns. This was the show that really introduced me to mysteries. Hi, Jonathan. Uh, but yeah, that was one of the things that stuck out to me the most was her work with mysteries. But I think a lot of people would also remember her for her role as Mrs. Potts in Beauty and the Beast. And I'm talking the original, not that remake. Now, as good as the remake was, let's get real, folks. Nothing can ever compare to the original, and that's the truth. In fact, a lot of people were screaming bloody murder about the remake. But yeah, her part in it was probably the best role as Mrs. Potts. She was great because, her character, she was excellent. She was the kind of character that she was a typical maid, but also the kind of maid who gives you good advice. And of course, the way she sang Tale as Old as Time, better known as Beauty and the Beast, well, yeah. Who could ever compete with her? Certainly not the woman who played her in the live action film. I'm sorry, but no comparison. No comparison. Oh, yeah, I heard about that, bro, but I'd like to stay on track if you don't mind. And yeah, I'm sorry to hear about the character from Harry Potter. I was never a fan, like I said, but I can understand that, though. He was an outcast, too, so. And that's not an easy thing. I can see how, and even though I hated Harry Potter, Hagrid was a pretty good character. I actually did like him. That was the only thing I liked about it, but it wasn't enough to keep me going. Sorry. But anyway, yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of people would remember her from playing the Anastasia's grandmother in the movie Anastasia. Again, she had a pretty good role there. It was a very small role by comparison, but it was a good one. One that you could definitely like. So, yeah. And of course, everybody knows that recently she was in the, uh, what was it? Oh, Mary Poppins Returns. She was opposite of Dick Van Dyke in that movie. I haven't seen that because I'm sorry, I want nothing to do with Mary Poppins Returns, but yeah, sorry. But either way, I'm sure she did well in that one. I have no doubts about that. Yeah, she was a legendary actress, and that's true. She was in many projects. She did all kinds of stuff. She did some producing. I don't know if she ever did any directing. That doesn't seem to come to mind, but that's okay. But yeah, she was a great actress from back in her early years, and she was definitely great during the 90s. She really reinvented herself in quite a way. In fact, my friend Bonnie actually said something to me yesterday about that. She said that let me see if I can find that. I was chatting with her yesterday about this. Let's see. Yeah. She said that she gracefully transitioned from when she was younger to when she was older as an actress. And, that is so true. She's probably the only actress that I know of who has ever done that. I don't know about actors, but that's a little, Celine Dion performed that song. Well, I'm sorry to say this, but it did not do anything for me. Maybe it's because of the way they did it. I don't know. Or maybe I just kept looking at it and saying, like, remake. What's the big difference? It's the same thing. Sorry, folks. It's my nose. I'm still kind of dripping snot here. No blood though. That's the good news. So, but still snot. So you'll have to forgive me for that. Plus, while I was out with a nosebleed, this didn't help matters. In fact, I've been watching Murder She Wrote all week. They've had a marathon in her honor on one of the channels, and rightfully so. Yeah, somehow it doesn't surprise me. She was going to be a director, but it didn't happen. Maybe it's for the best, because, that could be, bro. Maybe the remake just didn't get my attention well enough. I mean, I liked it, but compared to the original, let me put it to this way. Remake, original. But that's me and remakes all together. So, I mean, I did appreciate what they did, except for some things, but that's a story for another day. And I think, yeah, that's a story for another day, which my friends and I talked about, which I will be re-airing soon. Anyway, I loved her for her movies. I loved her for Murder She Wrote, especially. Again, I have yet to see her Broadway productions. I want to look those up one of these days, and one of these days I'll find them. But until then, I'll get around to them. But until then, I can't comment. But, excuse me. But anyway, I've seen her earlier works, like The Picture of Dorian Gray. She had a small part in it, but she was a great part in it. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Because, yeah, that makes sense. Because I can't picture Celine Dion doing that poorly. Yeah, don't worry about it, bro. I don't expect this live stream to really make it real huge anyway. I just want to pay tribute to a great lady and a great actress who did so much for her craft, for the arts, and to people in general, you know? Yeah, I know. I remember. But yeah, kind of think of it. Dick Van Dyke, he's one of the actors who gracefully transitioned from young to old during his career, because we remember the Dick Van Dyke Show and the movies he did, like Mary Poppins. And I'm talking the original, not the sequel. Although that does come into play, though. And, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which was kind of so so to me, but I'll talk about that one of these days. And then, of course, he did Diagnosis Murder, which was a great series. And he even did another series on Hallmark called Murder 101. Great show. Yeah, that's right. She also did documentaries. Probably the best one was the Wizard of Oz. She actually did a documentary on that. I forgot all about that. And she even narrated the original story of Wizard of Oz for the DVD. Yeah, they actually got pictures of it on the special edition DVD from the book itself. Sorry, books. It's a series of books. That's true, bro. That is really true. I'll just jump back to that, though. But yeah, they put on those pictures and she narrated the story. And she did a great job of it. And this is the original story, not the 1939 version. Although she did do a documentary for that. I had forgotten all about that. It's been so long. And she even hosted Fantasia 2000, which she was great in, by the way. I mean, she was just being herself. She was just hosting. Nothing wrong with that, but she did great. I mean, the most I could say about Penn and Teller was, well, they were appropriate for The Sorcerer's Apprentice. That's about it. But, they needed magicians for that one, so it makes sense. But anyway, she was great in that. And let's see if I remember correctly. I think there was something else she did that was real grand, but I know of another, but I'll get to that one in a minute. But oh, bro, don't even remind me of that, please. I've seen some of the remakes, especially that god awful Sci-Fi Channel version. I don't even want to think about that. And come to think of it, that's a video I'll be bringing back one of these days. Talk about Wizard of Oz throughout the years, but I'll be getting a little help this time. But anyway, yeah, yep, let's never forget that. Fantasia 2000. She was great in that too. Her and just about everybody else who hosted it. James Earl Jones, Bette Midler. Yeah. But anyway, probably one of her greatest movies that I ever always loved would be Bedknobs and Broomsticks. She was perfect in that picture. She really outdid herself. And, I brought up my old video and I retouched it up recently because I found out about a few things that came up over the years that I never knew before. So, of course, I had to update my video. And, well, one of the things that came up was a scene that she was going to have that they cut out of the movie. They wanted to put it back, but the film somehow got destroyed and is gone forever. But there are but there are still images of what was to go on. And by that, I mean just pictures, click, click. Because, that's how Hollywood works. When they film movies, they always take photographs behind the scenes. That's what they do. It's for archival purposes. That's why. But anyway, and the audio, the song still exists. But unfortunately, for some reason, they never tried to recreate it. And in this day and age, they could. Thanks to modern technology, they could easily have an actress play her, just pretend to be her, and of course digitize her face to look like her, and just, go through the motions, mouth the words, and they just dub in the audio, and, well, just put it back in. It would be pretty grand, I would think, if they did that. But Disney, I doubt whatever would. And, if and I even said this, that Angela Lansbury, they could even talk to her, try to find out what exactly the dance steps were. I'm pretty sure she would remember even now, or at least have a fair idea. I mean, it's been a long time, but yeah. No, bro, this is an old one. You just haven't seen this for a long time. This is one I made myself a long time ago. I just brought it out because of my nose. Because if I wore my regular one, it would really pinch it, and I can't with this packing in here. So, sorry. But anyway, well, that would be nice, Jonathan, but right now I can't think about that. But yeah, that would be nice. I would love to do that. Yep, that's it. Yep, I heard about that. Sorry. Anyway, yeah, she did that. And she also did quite a few Agatha Christie movies, believe it or not. And who's Agatha Christie? She was a great novelist who wrote mysteries. Mysteries like Hercule Poirot, which was definitely one of her, which was definitely Agatha Christie's best work. And of course, Miss Marple, who is a was pretty much an old spinster who always seemed to solve mysteries and seemed to travel around the world and, just run into these things and solve the mystery. Sound a little familiar? Well, it should, because believe it or not, Miss Marple was actually the inspiration for Murder She Wrote. The only difference is instead of her being a spinster, they turned her into a widower who writes mystery novels and does travel the world quite a few times because, when you're a famous author, of course, you got to make appearances, you get to do stuff. Whereas for Miss Marple, I guess she was just a rich old lady. It was never very clear to me, but if you ever read Agatha Christie's books, they're great. Believe me, they are. And, quite a few of them were actually used in quite a few episodes of Murder, She Wrote. Yeah, that's right, she did. And like I said, she also did the movie Death on the Nile, and I'm talking the original, not that remake that I will not speak of because I am sorry. I do not want anything to do with it. Remakes, remakes, remakes. Makes me sick. But anyway, yeah. But yeah, she was in that one. I haven't seen that one in a long time, but as I recall, she was great in that one. But to me, Bedknobs and Broomsticks will always be probably her best work. I don't know. It's just the way she played the character of Eglantine Price. She was absolutely great. I love the songs. I love, well, everything about it. And of course, the substitutionary locomotion bell. Best scene ever. Yeah, I did hear something about that. Obviously, she ended up lead. Obviously, for actress, it certainly worked out a lot better for her. But she did still managed to retain some comedic approaches in some of her work. Because, for many of them, oh, Bedknobs and Broomsticks? Is that what you're talking about, bro? That's a great film. Or are you talking Death on the Nile? I'm sorry if my speech is a little slurred, folks, but like I said, I got packing in my nose, so it might be a little tricky. So please bear with me, okay? But anyway, bro, there's two that I mentioned. First would be Bedknobs and Broomsticks, which was done by Disney, and I think that was one of their best live action animation works. And then there's Death on the Nile, which, as I recall, was a real good film, but I haven't seen it in a long time. But I love mysteries. That's what it comes down to. And I know she did a Miss Marple movie, which, yes. Okay. I know she did a Miss Marple movie, but I cannot remember which one it was. And if I'm not mistaken, that was one of the things that led her to become Jessica Fletcher. Bro, sorry, Jonathan. my white mask is put away for now. Like I said, that thing is going to pinch my nose, and I got it packing in here, and I can't wear that today. So, yeah, I would say watch the original, bro. Never the remakes, because the originals are better. And come to think of it, if there's one remake, if you want to call it that, that you should watch, try and watch the Hercule Poirot series from BBC. They are the greatest. And I'm talking to one starring famous British actor David Suchet. Trust me, bro, they are the best. Yeah, I know. We all do. We all need a list. And I can tell you this. I've seen quite a few versions of Poirot, but his was definitely the greatest of all because he played that character so perfectly, straight out of the book. But that's going to be a story for another day. I'm sorry. I don't want to get off track, folks. But yeah, she was one of the few who graciously transitioned from being a young actress to an older actress, and to get up there in age. And she still was working. She's one of the few who ever did that. Yeah, they do. They do. I think when it comes to BBC, their mysteries are the best. Their comedies are okay, but their mysteries are the greatest ones. Oh, kind of think of it. I just remembered there was one other movie she did. She actually starred in a Three Musketeers remake. Yeah, she actually was in it. It was, well, I can't remember exactly what year this was, but it was the Three Musketeers starring her as the Queen of France, Vincent Price as Cardinal Richelieu, and Gene Kelly as D'Artagnan. Yeah, Gene Kelly, the famous dancer, actually playing a role where he's not singing and dancing. Can you believe that? Oh, oh, Jonathan, I'm sorry, but the Thin Blue Line stunk. Mr. Bean was better. Keeping Up Appearances was great. And so was Wallace and Gromit. Hmm. Well, uh, she might have been in something like that, but I don't think so. But yeah, she literally managed to transition from this young girl in all those older movies where, well, she didn't exactly have leading roles, I don't think. I mean, she did have quite a few, but she was also, here and there. And she was doing all kinds of shows there. And then during the 50s, 60s, and 70s, she definitely got a lot more leading roles there, and in the 80s as well. And she was one of those people who could actually go through the lines. Because the problem is, for most actresses, when they're young and beautiful, they prefer to be these beautiful leading ladies. And by the time they hit 40 or 50, well, unfortunately, Hollywood, and that's just the way it was or is, I don't know. They usually don't want anything to do with them anymore. So, they usually end up playing like, well, I'm sorry to put it this way, old hags, widowers, or the leading lady's mother or something like that. And most of them usually just get sick of the idea of doing it, and they don't want to do it because in their mind, they're still that young, famous actress. But with her, she knew how to work, how to just roll with it. Because, here she was playing these young, beautiful characters. And, she did stuff on Broadway, which, again, I still haven't seen. And, when she was still doing stuff in Hollywood back in the day, she also did. Well, that's great news. I'm glad to hear that. At least we need some good news around here, folks, and that's fine by me. But yeah, she did do that, and she transitioned from being a actress who was doing mostly bit parts to a leading actress who good, a leading actress who was front and center of the story. And of course, as she got older, she transitioned to be the character that she could play, and she did it really well. And she didn't let that stop her, and that's good. That's really good because for most of them, they would just throw up their hands and move on and call it a day or retire or something. It's true, bro. We lost way too many legends over the past few years. This year alone was gut-wrenchingly horrible. The celebrity apocalypse continues. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, that's a little title I came up with back in 2016 when we lost so many great stars. You know, I call it the celebrity apocalypse because it's their doom. The great celebrities, you know, the end of them. Yeah, I heard. And like I said, Jason Voorhees himself died. So, and of course, Coolio, and that was a real shame too. Huh? Oh, hi, Georgie. Come on up, buddy. Come on, kitty. Yeah. Yeah, somebody's come to keep me company. He's such a good little boy. You can unfluff your tail, buddy. Oh, why you're fluffing your tail up like that? Yeah, that's a good boy. But anyway, yeah, she did a lot of great stuff, and you know, she will be sorely missed in the worst possible way because no one could ever do what she did. I mean, she plays so many characters, so many people, and how many people could say that they've had a career that standed for excuse me a minute. I gotta get my cat's tail out of the way. Oh, that's awesome. Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, that's a nice video too, bro. But anyway, yeah, she's one of the few people who could do all that. Yeah, yeah, I remember him too. But anyway, yeah, she was one of the few actresses who I think she's the only actress in general who ever did that, who's ever done this. I mean, she actually kept herself going. She, you know, she just got with the program and made it work for her. Most actresses, like I said, they just give up. They throw up their hands or just don't want any part of it. But in her case, she went with it. She took that ball and she went with it, just like Dick Van Dyke did. And if anything, I think she inspired Dick Van Dyke to do that, to be honest, because, you know, Diagnosis Murder didn't show up until the early 90s, while Murder, She Wrote was in the mid 80s. So there you have it. But yeah, she was great. And you know what? I've heard a lot of her music too. She was a real good singer. I know she also did a few other things that most people won't remember, but that's okay. Who can remember everything? Nobody. Well, I think that's really about all I could say at the moment. Except, technically, my tribute is not truly over, at least not yet. Hello. You see, I do have a video coming up this week. If you want to see it, I suggest you tune in on Monday because on Monday I'm going to be playing my review of Bedknobs and Broomsticks. I wanted to hold off for a while, but now is the time because look what happened. So Monday I'll be playing Bedknobs and Broomsticks. So, and I considered re-editing what I said about having her help to redo that scene and bring it back to life, but I couldn't. I just couldn't. It was too hard. I'm sorry. I just couldn't do it. So, if anybody has any gripe about that, deal with it. Because, you know, when you make a video about somebody you respect gratefully, who shows that you loved dearly, and you put your heart into your work ahead of schedule, of course, and then all of a sudden something terrible like this happens, you just can't do it. You just can't. So Yeah. Thanks, bro. So I think that's pretty much all I could say at the moment. That, if you want to see my review of Bread Knobs and Broomsticks, just wait till Monday. It'll come around. And I think you'll love it. And I think a lot of you will agree with me that for the one lost scene, they should try to fix that. And with modern technology, it can be done. So until then, this is Movie Fan signing off. And of course, I want to thank my friend Jonathan, the reviewer from Jay's Walks, and my bro Sky Stub for being here with me on this. Yes, you do. I know, bro. I know. I know exactly what you mean. That's why usually I don't do these. Plus, there's millions of people doing a better job than me. I highly doubt anybody's going to watch this. So why should I put all that effort into it, And yes, you need to see Bed Knobs and Broomsticks, Jonathan. It's a great movie. One of the greatest. Anyway, this is Movie Fan signing off.